A tragic end in the search for a missing South Carolina girl. Police finding 6-year-old Faye Sweatlick's body yesterday in her own neighborhood and a man's body during the search. But police aren't saying if the cases are connected. Faye was last seen on Monday. Police not releasing how she died, but they say it is now a homicide case.
I'm Elwin Lopez. The federal government is appealing a judge's decision to block President Trump's executive order. Now, that order would have allowed cities and states to turn away new refugees. Prior to that order being blocked, Governor Brian Kemp had not said whether he would have consented or not to allow new refugees to resettle here in the state of Georgia. Now, the governor's office has declined to comment on this because they say the order is enjoined.
I'm Tracy Potts on Capitol Hill, where the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, in a very public ABC interview, is asking the president to stop tweeting. He's saying all of this talk about his prosecutors, his cases, the judges is making it impossible to do his job. In a late statement, the White House says the president was not bothered by that interview and retains full confidence in the Attorney General.